Hi, everybody. Welcome to Christian Homestead. My name is Jared. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe. So within the last 24 hours, it just came out, scientists have observed 10 city-sized objects that are approaching Earth at an unusual speed. They didn't detect before. They just showed up. And April Fools. Sorry. I'd like to know how many of you already knew that this was going to be an April Fool's joke or not. Let me know in the comments below. Maybe I'll do a poll. I got the image from this paper, Planetary Radar State-of-the-Art Review, Figure 9. And then I went to Pixabay, which is a site that has a bunch of public domain images. And I got this image of the moon and put it in there. But what I would like to do is take a moment to review everything that I've collected so far that supports the idea that the 10 lost tribes are somewhere off-world. Either on spaceships or on another planet or a piece of the Earth that was removed. And if you've been watching my channel, you know that I don't really support that idea. I don't think that's right. But I'm not going to go into my point of view. But I do want you to know what my point of view is. And I don't just ignore things. A lot of people, they'll just collect what they believe, you know, whatever their position is, and then ignore everything else. I collect it all. I do my best. This is an ongoing project. I don't know how long I'm going to do this YouTube channel, but I want to collect everything. So I do have some things that go along with the idea of the 10 lost tribes being somewhere off of Earth. So the first thing that we're going to look at is my quotes A through Z spreadsheet. I have 3 quotes from Wilford Woodruff from his journals where he repeated this idea right here, and right here. I think it's only in this one that he actually mentions the 10 lost tribes. But let's go ahead and take a look at this. So this is at the time Elder Wilford Woodruff of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles. You can find it on the Wilford Woodruff papers. And then in this journal right here, page 440. He says, "I was unwell. John Taylor preached in the morning, Joseph Young in the afternoon, and Wilford Woodruff spoke upon the subject of the coming fair. I met with the 12 in the evening. Orson Hyde prayed. Orson Pratt was mouthed. It was the first time Elder Hyde has met with us for some time. He has been absent for some 3 weeks in consequence of hearing that there was some warrants out for him. The evening was spent in conversing upon the subject of the 10 tribes in the North Country, the higher law of God in opposition to the law of gravitation, in the ascension of Christ, Elijah and Enoch and the city of Zion to the heaven upon the same principle. A portion of the North Country containing the 10 tribes may be separated from the earth." I do want to point out, he says, may be separated. So there's some uncertainty there. Orson Hyde and others believed they would soon return. Okay. And that's no secret because Orson Hyde, he talked about all sorts of kind of like deep doctrine, and he liked to speculate. He had a very curious mind. I think he was really good. I think sometimes he went too far with the speculation. But anyway, and then we got this one. I'm not going to read the third one. I'll just read this because the third one is basically a repeat of this one. But this is this journal right here, page 197. It was the opinion of the prophet Joseph that the city of Enoch was in the Gulf of America. Just kidding. In the Gulf of Mexico. Now it's the Gulf of America. In that Adam offered his sacrifice and built his first altar in Adam-on-Diamond, and the stones of his altar are now there to be seen. The city of Enoch was taken up, but the city of Zion, which we shall build, will remain and not be taken away as the city was. Noah was 120 years in building the ark. We have not been 40 years yet in building up Zion in our day and the kingdom of God on the earth. Okay. So like I said, 3 different times in his journal that he recorded this idea of a part of the earth being taken somewhere else and then coming back in the future. One time, speculation, it seems, about the 10 lost tribes being taken in that way and then coming back, as well as the city of Enoch and so forth. And this interesting idea that the Gulf of America, what is now the Gulf of America, is actually the site of the original City of Holiness, the City of Enoch, the City of Zion. It goes by all those names. Okay, so we have that. Again, this is quotes A through Z. You can access my spreadsheets anytime. The link is in the description box of each video. This is currently row 161. There is an opposing view by Elder Bruce R. McConkie, but I'm not going to read that in this video. Okay, next, this is also on quotes A through Z, currently row 386 for North Pole. And this is from the autobiography of Martha C. Cox, an early church member. All right, and by the way, so you can find this in the church history library or the church history catalog. That doesn't mean that this is doctrine. There's a lot of stuff there that's not necessarily doctrine. It's just they have the function of preserving these records. And obviously, there's going to be some speculation here and there, or incorrect accounts of things, because we're human. Okay. Coming in one day and seeing my geography on lap, because they didn't know what that, couldn't tell what that word was. Jacob Hamblin, told me that the prophet said to him that of the North Pole, the earth is convex or cup-shaped, with the deepest sea resting there. The planet that belonged to that part of the world would in time return to its place, strike the earth at that part, completing the sphere. The result will be a reeling to and fro like a drunken man by the earth, which will assume an upright position before the sun. The discussion caused by the earth meeting its long dismembered portion will be a warmth, concussion will be a warmth that will cause the mountains to melt and flow down, and the seas change their positions. When this planet nears the earth, astronomers will say a new comet has appeared. Okay, now I want to point out she is not a firsthand witness to this. She's hearing this from Jacob Hamblin. And so he could have misremembered things. She may have misremembered things. It's not a very good source, but I'm still going to take note of it. I will say, with this part where she's talking about a new comet and astronomers are going to think that it's a comet, that sounds an awful lot like what Joseph Smith said about the sign of the Son of Man. So let's take a look at this. This is from the Joseph Smith Papers website, Discourse as reported by James Burgess, pages 6 through 8. This is where we find out that the prophet will know the day and the hour, or in other words, that the Lord's not going to do anything, including the second coming, without telling the prophet first. You can read that right here, but I'm going to go to the end. And as he's talking about the sign of the Son of Man, he talks about how it's going to appear. Well, I guess I'll read it right here. He says, then shall they see the sign of the coming of the Son of Man in the clouds of heaven. How are we to see it? Answer, as the lighting up of the morning, or the dawning of the morning, cometh from the east and shineth unto the west, so also is the coming of the Son of Man. The dawning of the morning makes its appearance in the east and moves along gradually, so also will the coming of the Son of Man be. It will be small at its first appearance, and gradually becomes larger until every eye shall see it. Shall the saints understand it? Oh yes, Paul says so. Shall the wicked understand? Oh no, they attribute it to a natural cause. They will probably suppose it is two great comets coming in contact with each other. So maybe this is a discourse that Jacob Hamblin heard. I'm not going to go through and verify that. I don't care that much, but it's just interesting, this talk about comets and misidentifying what it actually is. It's not a comet. In this case, it's the sign of the Son of Man. And then there was this other account. And let's see, at the end, then will appear one grand sign of the Son of Man in heaven. But what will the world do? They will say it is a planet. Okay, so here's this concept of planets. We've been talking about that, how, parts of the earth have been removed and they've become their own little planets and they're going to return. So I don't know. They will say it is a planet, a comet, etc. But the Son of Man will come as the sign of the coming of the Son of Man, which will be as the light of the morning cometh out of the east. Okay. Okay. So far we've covered two of these accounts, or two of these quotes from Wilford Woodruff, and we have a total of 3. And then we have this one from Martha C. Cox, an early church member that recorded something that somebody else told her. And then finally, I have a spreadsheet that's just quotes about the 10 lost tribes or scriptures that are used to support the idea that you have a main group of the 10 lost tribes that are still lost somewhere to humanity. Now, if you come to this spreadsheet, I'll have you know that you want to pay attention to column C. So column C, if it's green and it says yes, that means that it's a quote that supports the idea that there is 1 or 2 or 3 or X number of hidden groups of the 10 lost tribes. Again, either there are hidden groups or a group or many groups, or there are not. It's not one or the other. Either there's a hidden group, even if it's the size of just like a family of 10, that somehow their generations have survived through time in like a cave or something like that. Either that is true or it is not. Okay. So that's what I'm distinguishing with when I'm talking about column C right here. So if you go up, if it's pink, then it's a quote that goes against the idea that there's the 10 lost tribes in a main group, or they interpret a scripture in a different way than people that come up with their theory about the 10 lost tribes. Okay. And as it turns out, as you go forward in time toward the top, this is a timeline, you start to see a lot more red and you don't see any green whatsoever. So this is how I've come to the conclusion that, or my belief, my opinion, that there is not a hidden group of any size anywhere. Okay, but I'm not going to just throw all the rest of this away. I'm still going to take it into consideration. It's okay to have uncertainty, you guys. We don't have to figure this out. It's not a matter of salvation. So if these green ones right here end up being right, then fine. That's going to be cool. And then maybe we will someday have, maybe NASA will detect 10 mysterious objects approaching Earth. And then I'll have a real story about that. Okay, so for the ones where they believe that there is a hidden group somewhere, and if they mention the location where they think that they are, I put that in column E. So for example, this quote from Elder Orson Pratt, he talks about them being in the North Polar region. Although we have these quotes down here, we already read this one from Wilford Woodruff, but then we have this where the belief is that they're off-world. They're not on Earth. They're not currently at the North Pole or inside the hollow Earth. They're off-world. So a lot of people will bring this up. This is a hymn. I guess I better scroll in or zoom in. Okay. So this is the 1863 hymn book, and here's the reference down here, Sacred Hymns and Spiritual Songs, 12th edition, 1863, page 386. Okay, verse 1. Thou, earth, was once a glorious sphere of noble magnitude, and didst with majesty appear among the worlds of God. Verse 2. But thy dimensions have been torn asunder, piece by piece, and each dismembered fragment borne abroad to distant space. Verse 3. When Enoch could no longer stay amid corruption here, part of thyself was borne away to form another sphere. Verse 4. That portion where his city stood, he gained by right approved, and near to the throne of God his planet upward moved. Verse 5. And when the Lord saw fit to hide the quote-unquote 10 lost tribes away Thou earth was severed to provide the orb on which they stay. And thus, from time to time, thy size has been diminished until thou seemest the law of sacrifice created to fulfill. Okay, so we no longer have this in our hymn books. I'm sure it was a great hymn, and hymns aren't necessarily doctrine, but I am taking note of that. So we have that. I also want to point out, I have a column. This is column D. Those now living will see it. In other words, they will see the 10 lost tribes for themselves in their lifetime. And there's been a number of those, including by Joseph Smith himself, which I don't have a problem with, because I know that there have been a lot of people from other tribes other than Ephraim and Manasseh that have joined the church. Again, man, I've been sharing this a lot lately. I have this anonymous poll called "Which Tribe of Israel Are You From?" And this is just based on my audience, which up until now has been primarily English speaking. Recently, they rolled out auto dubbing, and so maybe over time we'll get a better sample from Central and South American countries, and in other countries as well, maybe Japan, because that's one of the languages that are now being automatically auto dubbed into audio. But anyway, up until now, I've had 1,584 responses, and I have all the tribes. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these tribes, I mean, not like a lot, but if you had people from other tribes during the time of Joseph Smith or shortly after. And so there were members of the church that saw these other tribes come in. So anyway, but my point isn't really to argue that. I just want to, in case you come to my spreadsheet, I just want to point out the important parts to consider. I don't have a quote from Joseph Smith himself that says that whether it was the City of Enoch or the 10 Lost Tribes, that part of the planet was taken into space. If you know where I can find that, by all means, send it to me. But I don't have it. All I have is people who heard that report, that they heard him say that. And in the case of Wilford Woodruff, he said that it was Joseph Smith's opinion. And so maybe that's what Joseph Smith said. Maybe he just said, this is my opinion. I think that this is what happened. But he wasn't declaring doctrine. I don't know. So I'll put a link for this in the description box below. If you haven't taken it yet, this is anonymous. Just fill it out, and then you can see the results. But that's it for this one. So happy April Fool's Day. Let me know if you had any other April Fool's pranks pulled on you today. I told a group of my friends that I was quitting my channel. And I got all of them except for one. Anyway, that was great. Okay, but that's going to be it for this one. So if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it, leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.